That Soul versus Chimera fight
You mean The Matrix meets Dragon Ball Z?
meets Crouching Tiger
Yes.
or bleeding the Soul's crystal. Great moment.
She now will use her father's lightsaber. Yeah, kind of like Luke did before. But now it's an instrument of evil rather than an instrument of good.
There's another character we got to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Really important.
Uh-oh.
Pretty important character from some books.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Vernestra Rwo.
Yeah.
You're already sowing the seeds about how the Senate are distrusting the Jedi and vice versa. Vernestra really is the catalyst for this. Oh, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the big
moon in the room.
Yeah, the big that's no space station. That's a moon.
It's a moon.
Welcome back to Beyond the Dune Sea, a show all about that galaxy far, far away and beyond. My name is Konnor.
And I'm Seth.
And this week we are talking about the finale, episode 8 of The Acolyte. And I asked you guys on YouTube, put up a poll. What did you guys think of the Acolyte finale? 4 tiers. Awesome, good, okay, terrible. What'd you guys think? Out of 178 votes from just a few hours, which is a pretty crazy result, 26% said awesome, 28% said good, 24% said okay, 22% said terrible. I think this is the most even it's been all season.
Wow. Interesting.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, you'll notice I didn't say favorite comment this week, and that's because we've gotten so many good comments, just great discourse around this show so far. And first of all, just so proud of you guys, just you guys in our comment sections. That's awesome. And we wanted to have an opportunity to interact with you guys. And so next week, we're going to kind of be doing an Acolyte wrap up, just post-season wrap up, the good, the bad, and the ugly, kind of like what we did with Ahsoka, if you guys have been around for that long. And we're going to do a live stream. So come around, hang out, and interact with us live, and we'll be able to kind of talk about all that stuff, all those great critiques and stuff we've seen in the comment section, and be able to interact with you guys one-on-one, have a live conversation about it. So, hey, we had a finale we had to watch this week.
We did.
We had to. I said we had to. We had the privilege.
Yes.
To watch this week.
We were brought to the table.
Yes.
Did we eat?
Did we?
Did we?
The question was, did we have
Yeah. What kind of the pizza rolls?
Yeah,
How were they cooked?
Were they
microwaved?
Were they day old microwave pizza rolls?
Yeah.
Or were they fresh out of the oven?
Fresh out of the air fryer.
Made with love.
Yes.
I still love the new viewers who are going to be like, guys, what is this pizza roll thing? We've heard this now a couple times. What is this?
It's really
it's the gauge, okay? It's like, sometimes if you're in a hurry, it's like pizza rolls are good. Star Wars is like pizza rolls, right? It's like at the end of the day, you're not going to be upset that you had a plate of pizza rolls in front of you. But, if they're a day old and they were microwaved, it's like, you'll get through it. But it's you're not going to have a good time. Yeah. Maybe your stomach hurts a few days.
It'll suffice. It'll get the job done.
Yeah, but, if you came home and you got a sleepover ready and your mom, put them in the oven for you.
Yeah.
Laid them all out and didn't pile them up, like we did. You would just, rip open the bag, throw them on the plate, just throw them in the microwave, No, your mom would just one by one on a cookie sheet, with little wax paper sometimes. She's really feeling fancy. And then they come out just perfectly baked.
Yeah.
That's the gauge.
Yeah. Or there's the hidden gauge too. The surprise gauge. You air fry them.
Yeah, that's new. That's kind of the new,
Yeah, but they can be really good
in
the air fryer.
So that's the Star Wars gauge. Is how are the pizza rolls?
And I almost feel like you need to backtrack a little bit and explain the pizza roll thing. Because you came home when you were younger.
Oh, yeah.
And
the story?
That you would... Unless you just want me to say it. I mean,
the story where this began. Okay, now I'm just explaining the joke.
It's just story time with Konnor. That's all I ever really
make it
want.
brief. When we did our Star Wars origin stories episode, I said that I would come home from school every day and I'd throw a plate of pizza rolls in the microwave and I'd play a game of Galactic Conquest on the original Battlefront 2 every single day after school.
It's a good story.
So that's why pizza rolls and Star Wars, they go hand in hand. It's just how it is. Yeah.
Basically.
We've gotten off track.
Yeah.
1 minute review. Hit me. Acolyte finale.
So, had fun. Okay. Overall, I thought that probably the most fun I've had while watching this show, but the whole thing was the fun worth the schlock that we had to get through? That is the problem. The other thing that it is there is not a guarantee season 2. This thing really, like, while I was having fun, was leaving a lot of dangling threads where it's like, okay, but it's not guaranteed if we're going to get another season or not. So yeah, overall had fun, but that fun was at a cost, a consequence, if you will. Yeah. So yeah.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Incredible choreography.
Yeah.
Some really good performances for the most part.
Yeah.
Really fun teases. But it is held back by the baggage of this season. It is honestly one of the messiest TV shows I've ever watched. Definitely the messiest Star Wars show that we have right now. It's held back by confusing writing, poorly telegraphed character motivations, and payoffs in this episode that are awesome on their own, but feel so unearned in the grand scheme of the show.
Yeah.
And so I ultimately feel like this episode and this finale is kind of the third act to a show that we never saw. It's a story that we never even got a glimpse of.
To me, it feels like, all right, I've laid all the chess pieces. Now here's the show I actually wanted to make. And it's like, why? Why didn't you just start with this then?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Odd.
Like, I keep thinking about this story about the Sith, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten so many interviews from Leslie now during the show. We didn't talk about it last week, but there was an interview that came out shortly after we got done recording last week where she basically told us how the sausage was made. Like it was very odd. Like in a mystery thriller before the finale, she was like, well, this is what happened here. And this is what happened here. And we'll tell you that next week. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's so weird that you're telling us everything.
It's a lot of weird choices, both on and off the set for this show.
Yes. It's very strange. And I think that you're correct that the story that I'm wondering if the story that she wanted to tell, the story about the Sith, is really this broad picture of if she got to tell all however many seasons she wanted to tell. But then it's made even more confusing because she's like, well, I didn't know if I'd get to make any more seasons. So I threw everything at this and there's a hard stop. And boy, is there not a hard stop.
No, not at all.
It's left very open-ended.
Yes.
Very open-ended. I feel like the questions that this finale posed are far more interesting than any question that was posed throughout the season.
Yeah. I agree.
Extremely bizarre.
Again, I had a pretty fun time watching it.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a lot of decent payoffs for the characters and their journeys but then thinking back on it, was like, man, their journey sucked. If that makes sense, where it was like, it's cool that this is all getting kind of like resolved and things like that. But at the same time, like, I didn't enjoy myself on the journey. It was just that I liked the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of story is that? Where like, because isn't that the whole phrase? It's not about the end.
It's about the journey.
It's about the journey. But what if the journey was terrible?
Yeah. It's like if you watched Lord of the Rings and when they got to Mount Doom, it was so good, but the whole walk to Mordor was horrible.
Yeah. It was just,
and made no sense.
Yeah.
And you didn't know why Frodo was going to throw in the ring. You never saw his temptation.
Yeah.
It's extremely confusing. I just don't know. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall during the writing of this, because I don't know where the fault is. It is truly bizarre because in a lot of shows, for example, I'll take Book of Boba Fett, another show that I think kind of fumbled the bag, but it fumbles the bag in a way that I think is a lot easier to identify. First of all, it's just boring. I mean, let's be real. The Book of Boba Fett is just kind of a boring show. Yeah. And it also, I think, takes the Boba Fett character in a place people didn't want to see the character go.
Yeah.
Really easy to see where the mistake was made and how the mistake could be corrected.
Yeah.
Here, it's like all the pieces are here for a good show, it's
Yeah.
just, it's like it didn't get mixed and it didn't get baked properly.
Yeah. They
It's-
were put in a pile and thrown in the microwave.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, truly, it really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I've told this to some friends that if you were to hand me an outline for this show, now that it's all over, just gave me bullet points to say like, hey, this is what's going to happen in this show, and you just laid it out, I would read it and be pumping my fist, being like, dude, I can't wait to watch this. This sounds awesome. Like these twins, they could be a dyad. There's a virgins on this planet that creates this murder mystery. And Plagas is going to show up at the end. And that the Sith are involved. All the pieces are here.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know anything about my main character, Osha. I know nothing about her. And you're telling me here at the very end, you've been telling me a lot. You've shown me very little. That's one of the main problems I have with this show, especially now. You know, you've been teasing that she left the Jedi for some reason. Okay, tease. That's been the whole thing throughout this show. You tease and you tease and you tease. Well, okay, eventually you got to tell us something, or your payoffs don't matter.
Yeah.
And when we get to that big payoff moment with Osha later, it doesn't resonate because we don't see that darkness in her. We hear that she left the Jedi. And then that in episode 6, we get told a lot. And we get a moment where she puts the lightsaber to Chimere's neck.
Yeah.
But beyond that, we get told in this episode, the scene before when she's with May, I left the Jedi because I couldn't keep my negative emotions in check.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to see that.
Some progression. Yes.
At any point, we got 7 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side though, too, in this episode, I didn't know what May's motives were at all.
Me either.
I was just like, dude, I am lost on what this girl's plan is. Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So all she wants to do is find her sister. They get together, wipe my memories. It's all you've ever wanted. Okay, interesting. So you're a good guy now? Maybe? I can't tell.
It makes no sense. And like you also have...
You were just trying to kill Soul. Like, it's odd.
And the only characters that... Like, Chimere and Soul have been the only characters consistently that we understand. And Vernestra, to a degree, too.
Yeah.
Like Soul, we know he wants to go to Brendok and prove with May and Osha there, he finally, and this was actually a good reveal, that we finally know why he wants to go here. It's because, well, now with May and Osha here, he can prove why he had to kill Anastasia and he had to do all of that all those years ago.
Yeah.
He can prove that they're the same person.
Yeah.
Okay. Down with that. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. Chimere, he wants his acolyte. He wants to get there. He needs to get May, you know, all that stuff. Cool. May and Osha, I have no idea. I have no idea what you guys want.
Yeah.
And like just...
And then the whole thing with them being the same person is like, what does that mean? Like the implications behind that.
Cool idea.
Yeah.
Not explored.
Exactly.
And Leslie was all last week in that, I think it was in the Nerdist article. I get them mixed up because she's done so many articles.
Yeah, it was a Nerdist article. It
was the Nerdist article where she was like, we're not going to leave you hanging. We're going to explain that. And
not really.
And Soul goes on a little monologue, but it's everything we knew already.
But the other thing though too is like he says, I feel like, or I think that you were the same person and stuff like that.
Chimere's standing there in the background, not doing anything, and he's like, they cut to him being like, interesting. It's like, so you guys didn't know?
No.
So the Sith
I did think it was interesting though that he did grin at one point when they talked about
creating life.
Yeah, creating life. That he was like, and that was it. And I'm just like, okay, interesting.
Well, again, to go back to another Leslie interview, all this stuff should have been in the show, not in interviews.
Yes,
but she said that like the Sith would be collecting this info. So I'm gathering that the witches truly did create the twins themselves.
With the power of the virgins.
Yes. Yeah. And so Plagas and company, however that works out, we'll talk about it later, found this and was like, oh, hey, we need that. We need that knowledge for ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to hoard that knowledge for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Utilize it.
But none of that's explored here.
Nothing.
Not a lick of it. Like Leslie can talk about it all she wants in interviews.
Yeah.
But if you're not nerds like us and read it, and frankly, even if you are, if you're not showing that to us, I should not. This is the Palpatine speech in Fortnite all over again. It's like crucial details do not need to be outside of the medium and of the story that it's being told.
Yeah,
I should not need to be. I should not need to go read 4 articles to understand your story.
Yeah,
even if it's a mystery, lay it out. Lay breadcrumbs. Like the Chimera reveal, I thought was really good. It was probably the best mystery in the show.
Yeah,
they laid enough breadcrumbs that when it was revealed, you were like, yeah, I could see that coming, but it was also a good reveal.
Yeah.
Everything else, man, it was like,
yeah.
So several things here that just seriously don't make sense to me now that we have the full picture, just in this episode alone, because I could dedicate an entire episode just to things that don't make sense across the whole show. What was the point in having episode 7 be a flashback when this episode literally starts where episode 6 ends?
I know. It's frustrating. Because I'll be real, like it sucked me right back in. Like with the breathing and everything. I was like, dude, this is great opening. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. Like to have that moment with her with the helmet on, and then you see like his perspective that it's like, oh my gosh, she's in his head, and then he's able to force her out. Like that is awesome. And then his eyes being black too. I wonder what that's all about. Like, yeah.
Imagine not having a hard stop to that momentum.
Yeah.
And it like ramps right up to that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Would have been pretty. Well, what's good, like, our big complaint about 6 was just that, like, you know, it was a dead stop. But I mean, it could have been if they had gotten rid of 7. Like it could have been like this climb, and and that would have been pretty good last 3 episodes. I think
it would have been better for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
If I could go in there and restructure, what I would do, is I would take episode 3.
Combine it with
combine them. I think they were too obsessed with this idea of doing a POV thing.
Yeah,
and a lot got lost there. Just tell most of your story there, but leave out that Soul kills Anastasia.
Yeah,
just leave that part out. Maybe we just don't see that, and that's the mystery. If you want that to be it, fine. And then when we get to episode 6, ramp up and have that be your climax. That Soul finally tells May about that part, that piece that we were missing. How did Anastasia die?
Yeah.
Because that's really the only revelation we get. Yeah, we get a cool fight scene with Kel Naka. Yeah. But just put that in episode 3.
Yeah.
Just combine a lot of that.
Yeah.
And if we have that, at the end of 6, now you have a really good climax that builds your momentum rather than all the stuff with May and Soul just being a dead stop and you have the bumbling with Basil and stuff. Now we have a little bit of stakes involved. Now what's May going to do next episode now that we know that she knows that he killed Anastasia?
Yeah.
Because now we don't get any of that. We don't get any present day as we talked about last week. But they don't do that. Nope. And so it's very odd. And then speaking of Basil, why did he just break Soul's ship?
I don't know. So lost. Unless he's somehow in league with the Jedi. Because like they were like his buddies and everything, and he's realizes that
maybe I
don't know, like literally that is the, because I was just thinking about that. They're like, hey Basil, you're alive. That like maybe he was just trying to slow down Soul because he didn't know what exactly he was doing. Like, oh, the Jedi need to catch up or whatever.
Yeah, but they about crashed.
Yeah,
they did crash.
Yeah, they did.
It just what it felt like is they were in the writer's room, like, okay, how do we get both of their ships down?
Yeah,
well, we got this dumb gopher just. Yeah. Have him eat the wires.
Exactly. Have him just pull it out and run away.
And what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then Chimera can teleport?
Did he? Well,
he just vanished.
Hey, I mean, I took that as like the Dark Woman. She can walk through walls. That's from Legends.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took that.
Again, I don't have a problem with him being able to do it, but it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It just appears.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
yeah.
You're just throwing things at me now. And I'm like,
yeah.
What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
In the mystery show, we could have set up a lot of this and we set up none of it. And now we're just throwing everything at the wall.
Yeah.
I'm just listing things that don't make sense. Why can't both the twins go with Chimera at the very end?
It is odd.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do we have to mind wipe May? Is it just because we need a fall guy?
Do you think that's the part too that made Kathleen Kennedy cry?
Yeah, maybe.
The sisterhood had to be destroyed because of love.
That is a weird anecdote. If you don't know, like an anecdote from the show is that when Leslie, I don't remember what source this is from. Maybe it's fake. I don't know. But evidently when Leslie Headland pitched the show to Kathleen Kennedy, she cried because it was so good.
Openly wept. And so we've been curious about that. It's like, what moment of the show like made someone openly weep? And I'm like, yeah, but like I saw that in Spider-Man No Way Home. That I was like.
But at least then it made sense.
Yeah.
Like what? I don't get why it needed to happen.
Yeah. And then that's a pretty powerful mind wipe that Chimera could just do that. Hey, by the way, I can erase just the parts of her memory that involve us.
Why didn't you do that to Soul? Why haven't you in episode 5?
I was going to say, why haven't you just been doing that to everybody you ever encounter?
Maybe they need to be willing. I don't know.
Wild. Just really powerful. That's all I'm getting at.
That was one of the biggest question marks for me. I was like, because so far, I mean, the things I've listed have been small.
Yeah.
But here, this is a big one. Like, why?
Yeah.
Because Vernestra, now I granted Chimera and Osha don't know this, but Vernestra was going to have Soul be the fall guy either way.
Yeah.
So why do they need to wipe May and have her stay? Why is May okay with that?
Yeah, that's the weird thing is like May's just like weirdly a good guy, but kind of not a good guy. Like it was just like,
well, we never got an answer as to what actually happened. How did Chimera find her? What's their relationship like?
I know.
And he
didn't even, all we got was that like May didn't even question. May just became a Sith.
And Chimera's like weirdly chill this episode too.
Yeah.
He's not like the murdering psycho we got the few episodes ago. He's just like, Osha bleeds the lightsaber and he's just like, I'm just going to touch your shoulder.
I think he's simping. I'll be real with you.
Yeah, but why did he simp for May?
Why? Because they're not the same person, Konnor.
They are the same person. It doesn't make sense.
It's weird.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, it's weird.
It's just...
Yeah.
It's so odd.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like, oh shit, why are they lovers all of a sudden? Like, she was not about that. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, okay, I'll go train with you. I'll be your evil girlfriend.
It's all I want is an evil girlfriend.
Is that why the Kylo Ren theme playing?
I think that's exactly it.
Is that
it's
it?
The other thought I have, which we'll get to later, but like I have another thought that maybe that's why the Kylo Ren theme plays.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is interesting that why is everyone obsessed with this girl? Because Soul like starts to say it's because I love you, and then she chokes him.
Yeah.
Well, like I assume that's like a fatherly love.
Yes. I mean, Leslie's again made that clear. Not something you see in the show.
Yeah, that like that's like a fatherly love. While Chimera, I think it's more of a, yeah. Romantic love. There you go. That's a nicer way of putting it. Than I was going to say something dirty. So, but yes, that like a romantic style love, especially with the shoulder touch and the holding the hands with the lightsaber. That I was like, give me a break. No one would have killed that for me if he was just like, somebody I want you to meet.
It didn't feel earned. That moment didn't feel earned.
It was odd. Yes. It was really
you
weird.
Guys are just all of a sudden you want to date.
Yeah.
Like what's Chimera's goal there? I don't get it. I don't get why any of these characters do anything.
Yeah.
Except for Soul.
Yeah.
And Vernestra, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's just
we're just on that train. It's just a crazy train.
It's all tell and no show.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, you get the biggest issue. Well, I have two. One of them, evidently, Chimera is Vernestra's Padawan.
Yeah. Well, the scars on the back, we kind of predicted that. Maybe.
There was a little bit of setup. I will give you that. There was a little bit of nice foreshadow.
Yeah.
So that didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But also, again, it's a better mystery.
Yeah.
And maybe, granted, finales do this all the time where it tees up a better mystery.
Yeah, and it's
for the next
season. Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah,
but like the whole episode was like this. It was just every question they were posing. I'm like, why wasn't this the show? Like,
yeah,
what are we doing?
True.
But the main thing,
I'm convinced that the thing she really wanted to tell is the next season.
Maybe
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about one of the good things though, because that Soul versus Chimera fight.
You mean The Matrix meets Dragon Ball Z?
Meets Crouching Tiger?
Yes. I mean...
Super cool.
It was really cool.
I thought this was actually better than the fight scene in episode 5.
I had more fun watching this. I agree that I was like, this is cool, because like Chimera he has to fight differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit... He can't just be Rage Machine and just chop it through everybody, because he's not fighting scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people clowning on the moment when... they jump out of the hallway down
Yeah.
onto the ground.
Yeah.
Because I'll admit, when I first saw that shot, I was like, that's weird. And then immediately I knew what they were doing there. I'm like, oh, we're doing wire fu.
Yeah.
That's fun.
My idea too is I'm like, oh, they're just slowing themselves down with the force. That's
Yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah.
So they don't, that, Soul's
Well,
slowing him
we
down.
can't float. Floating's not allowed.
It's true. Only in animation.
Yeah.
It's no longer canon. But yes, that like Soul's slowing himself down. So
Yeah.
in turn, Chimera has to slow himself down because he can't slam into him. He's going to get cut in half. So
Right.
yeah.
Really
Yeah.
cool fight.
Yes.
Really, really cool fight. I thought that the choreography was fantastic.
Yes.
And it's not just the speed.
Yeah.
Because the speed's cool. I mean, because that's hard, right?
Yeah.
But throwing the sabers.
That's the Dragon Ball Z part. I know
and
you're
then-
not going to know, but like it reminded me a lot of Frieza throwing, he has these like discs that he throws at Goku that like are heat seeking.
Okay.
And Goku, what he ends up doing is kind of like what Chimera tries to do. Is Chimera tries to how Chimera boxes him in. Frieza tries to do that, and Frieza ends up getting himself cut in half. Yeah, and I thought that's what was going to happen. Is that Chimera was going to cut himself in half, basically.
Interesting.
I'm happy it didn't happen.
That's
way.
the one with Naruto, right?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I love anime. It's one of my favorite things. So very cool. Repulse.
Yeah. And which that was cool too. That It felt like this was the first time. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and freedom or justice in the galaxy, before the Empire, before the Dark Times. This felt like that.
Yeah.
This is what how a real Jedi would be fighting. If that makes sense, like a true Jedi Knight that Obi-Wan's talking about, like a grander time, a more civilized time is like that with those repulses, with the way Soul was fighting, like with the kind of the wire fu a little bit, but then also like his lightsaber technique and things like that.
He just had command over not only the Force, but his lightsaber and also the martial arts. It was like the lightsaber is a tool. It's not, but I can do other things. I can rely on the Force because the Force is my ally, but also my fists are my ally too. So if you get too close, you're going to catch these hands.
Exactly.
That's what Soul felt like.
I really liked in the hallway that it felt very much like Anakin Obi-Wan, like that
I got that
movement.
too.
Yeah, and then I like watching lightsabers cut through things. So like when you saw outside the little walkway they were in, and they were cutting up the walkway, that I'm like, this is good.
Just nice visuals. And
it's true. The lightsaber like getting really close to the cortosis, and it's like flickering. That I was like, that's cool. I like nice callback. That like better than him just headbutting things.
Yeah, it shows that Soul's learned too, and he's fighting smart. And then on the flip side of this, we're getting this fight between Osha and May.
Yeah,
I'll admit this is a cool fight.
The one with Jet Li. You ever seen that movie?
I have not.
Oh, he fights himself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought it was technically very, very strong. I was
definitely
worried.
better than episode 5.
Yeah,
with
when
like
they
where
were
it's cutting
talking.
away. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I still think, and I hate to say it, I think that Stenberg's performance is just, I don't know if it's direction or writing, but I think it's just not very good.
It's a little wooden, especially when she's not, or when she's interacting with herself. But I get that. I mean, like, there's nobody there.
For sure. But there's also moments where in this episode in particular, where she's interacting with other people, where I'm like, where's the emotion?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Talk about that in a minute. But I thought, that said, their interaction here was actually pretty good. I thought it was way more believable than episode 5.
Yes.
And the moment where both of their feet like that, and it cuts to the lightsabers, I was like, oh.
That's how you do it. You don't do one of those stupid wipes. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You pull us back in with imagery. Yeah. That's showing us, not telling us.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what
it's leading our eye as the audience. Yeah.
Again, that's what I'm saying. It's so odd to me. Like there are bright spots, like the ingredients are all there.
Yeah.
It's like you had farmer's market tomatoes, but then like gas station bread.
Yeah.
To like make a sandwich. And it just is so weird.
Gotcha.
But the
oven wasn't preheated, so you had to use the microwave.
It sure was.
Yes.
It's going to keep coming back.
Oh, I got to make it that.
That moment in particular. And also, I mean, Osha being in the black and May being in the white, but May being the dark side one and Osha being, I mean, the yin, the yang.
Yeah.
really great stuff on display. Really
Again,
great.
there's fun stuff. It just stinks that it comes at a cost, and it stinks that it came from like 7 episodes that were just okay before it. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that fight.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I loved how Soul cuts Chimere's saber.
Yes.
And then May takes
Then he
Soul's.
stops and looks at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was it. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. I thought he got cut in half.
I did too. I thought it was about to be a Maul situation.
Yeah, where he was just or a Snoke situation where
Really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I mean, I got no complaints when it comes to the choreography.
Yeah. My only complaint about that scene, I just really did not like how the lightsabers looked. Did you go back and look at that after we talked about it?
I did.
I don't like how they pulse. It's just odd.
Well, something I've noticed with this show in particular that they've done with the lightsabers. So back in this is like super niche, but back in like the OT days and in the prequel days, lightsabers were done completely digitally, right?
Yeah.
And so they were done by having a completely white core, right? And a colored glow around it.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is like in certain scenes, like the Mustafar scene, for example, they actually would create a separate matte, is what they're called, to darken what was behind the lightsaber to make the lightsabers be more vibrant.
Yeah.
And that creates a very specific look. And that white core is kind of ingrained in my memory.
Yeah.
And with this Disney era Star Wars, that white core kind of gets lost, especially like if you take you take a real lightsaber, like one of the really good ones, like this one sitting behind me from Sabers Pro. Check the link in the description for 10% off. Use code Beyond the Dune Sea. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
we never promote that. I always forget.
It's all right. I would hope that anytime we do our skits and stuff like that, Saber Pros.
Yeah,
check them out.
It's always the one we use. But anyway, if you ever see one of those like a NeoPixel. I'm going to sound like an idiot because MORTISFM knows way more about this than me, but one of the quote unquote real lightsabers.
A higher end one, yeah.
When you swing it, usually more toward the base, you'll get the white, and then toward the top, it'll start fanning out to be more of like a whatever color it is, right?
Yeah.
But to me, that's a lot faker. I don't know. Maybe that's more realistic if lightsabers are real. I don't know. But in this show in particular, they look like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like I noticed in that shot where Osha has the saber up to Chimere's neck in episode 6. She's not even moving it, but the core is white, but then it gets lost up toward the top. And it's very like the red gets lost in the white. And I don't know. It's not Star Wars-y to me. And again, that's super niche. Maybe that's a personal preference, but I prefer the more artificial look because it seems more 80s sci-fi.
Yeah. It seems more like a fantasy thing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It seems more like these are otherworldly weapons.
Yeah.
Like this seems more something like that exists in our world. I don't know. Again, maybe a nitpick.
But that's just me. I just thought they looked ugly. Like when they'd stop, like that pulsating that's in the core. And I'm like, I don't think that's
a little too intense. I do agree.
Yeah.
But we did find out something kind of fascinating with that. So we joked about how thick the sabers were.
Yeah.
And find out from one of the prop guys that I think it was from a Reddit post or something, that the reason why they're so thick is because not only do they have to have all the electronics for the sabers, but in previous shows like Ahsoka, they would run cables up to the arms, and that's where the battery packs, and that's where Bluetooth connectors would be to communicate back to the techs behind the cameras who could control the flicker, the brightness, all that stuff, and have full control because the DP, the director of photography, wants full control over all light sources. And lightsabers are a light source, and that's what they've been used for in these last few shows. And so what they did with this is they wanted everything to be localized to the saber to get the actors complete control.
Yeah.
Now, we've heard from other experts out there that it was not necessary to make these so thick, but according to the prop guy, in order to do that, the batteries they needed a certain amount of power, and the batteries are really big.
Yeah.
So fun little behind the scenes tidbit. I thought that was interesting. But man, no complaints for the fight scene. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good. I'd love to see that team come back for more things.
Yeah.
Like get those guys on anything that involves choreography, please. Because I thought that I can't really say that there was a fight scene in the show I didn't like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Some obviously were better than others, but even like the hand-to-hand stuff was really good.
Yeah.
All the lightsaber stuff was good.
Overall, it was solid. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely a standout.
Just trying to think if there's anything else that in that fight scene that really really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was all good.
I just liked how creative it was. I like it when
I didn't expect it either. That, like, when he came around the corner with the lightsaber, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is nice.
That does introduce an interesting question. What was up with Kymir's vendetta against Soul?
Again,
did he just want him out of the way? Because
I think that, again, as I said earlier, that like he is Osha's last chance to come back to the light, I think.
Is it like
and so removing him now, it's Starkiller Base removing the sun from Kylo Ren. It's that, or at least that's how I kind of took it.
I was thinking more of like an Obi-Wan or even Qui-Gon Jinn in the Plagas book.
Yeah.
How Plagas discovers Qui-Gon is like, this guy's going to F everything up.
Yeah, if I'm not careful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could see that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So speaking of, actually, let's just talk about that. So to kill a Jedi without a weapon.
Wow, we talked about that.
Boom, we nailed that.
Yes.
Absolutely to a T.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm so proud of that one.
Yeah.
So we mentioned that that's exactly how this would go down.
Yeah.
And we even mentioned the setup that it would be when Osha found out. We framed it as Soul never told you what happened to your sister as like a dark twist on the I am your father moment. And that, given a lot of the interviews,
essentially it kind of was that. Yeah.
Given a lot of the interviews, that was Leslie's intention, was to have a father-daughter relationship mirroring the father-son relationship of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, but
it just doesn't end well.
Osha flips.
Yeah.
And I thought that this scene was really well set up.
Yeah.
Really well set up. When Osha walks out, she hears great tension moment.
Yeah.
And Soul's explaining, like, I actually loved what Soul said. He was like, hey, I did the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I did what I had to do.
Because I was trying to help you guys. Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, Soul, you're right.
Yeah.
Actually, after watching your flashback last week, after sitting through that, I agree.
Yeah.
You did do the right thing. If I saw a scary smoke demon monster, I would have stabbed it too.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
It's true.
And I appreciate that the show addressed that. But still, Osha's not having it.
No.
And you see the force choke. And man, I got two issues with this.
Okay.
What did you think of this before I mention my problems?
What I think of what?
Just the scene.
I think it's fine. Like, again, the motives behind stuff, because again, I thought that like it felt a little bit like Pirates of the Caribbean, where like, sometimes, especially in the sequels of Pirates of the Caribbean, things get so convoluted with character. Like, wait, who's on whose side and what does everybody want in this moment?
Yeah.
It felt a little bit like that. Like Chimair's just sitting in the background, just watching. This guy's helmet off and all that. Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
He's not doing any, he's just watching. Yeah. And which, again, he's letting his apprentice do his thing, or like, or do her thing.
Felt kind of Palpatine with Count Dooku and Anakin.
Yep.
In that way.
Yeah.
Which he even starts it a little bit like that, like strike him down.
Yeah.
And May's like, F you, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. Yep.
So my issue with it is, again, I don't know if this is direction or if it's performance, but I think Stenberg fumbles the performance of this bad.
The hand, I was like, I'll admit, I wanted a little bit more out of her, like her.
You get nothing from her face.
Yeah.
Nothing. I actually didn't know if it was her choking him at first. I thought it was, for a moment, I thought it was Chimere.
Yeah.
Because he starts getting choked.
Yeah, and you don't see it.
And it cuts to her face and she's just like, you have him being
deadpan.
Like, and then just her.
Deadpan.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And again, maybe the idea is that she's just so drained.
So cold. Yeah.
And okay, but I think that Lee Jung-jae is acting his butt off with that.
Yeah.
And giving a heck of a performance, getting choked and falling to his knees and
telling her
that he loves her.
Yeah.
She's just, I'm like,
I wanted a little bit more out of the hand. I will admit that like, and like,
Vader's got
Vader, like, you know what I mean? He's got a little pizzazz to it, or like when he's choking Padme, even where it's actually lets go of the, like, I mean, you can see that he's, not
only with the hand, but you get some like furrowing the brow. And even if she did want to be cold and be stone faced, you can do a little bit, right? Just like with your nose or just with your eyebrows. And again, I'm not an actor. Maybe there's some nuance there that I didn't pick up on, but it just felt like nothing. And it's like, this would have been the time, like if you wanted her to explode, like we've not seen any of this darkness within her, and finally all these negative emotions she's had pent up, this is the time to unleash them. But it's just otherwise great moment, and it's like because she's also bleeding the crystal at the same time. Super cool
and super interesting.
I love that.
That's the first time we've seen that
in live action.
Well, I mean, even in like even in the cartoons and stuff too, right?
It happened in Survivor. That's the first sort of visual medium that we've seen.
Yes. Okay.
And that was really cool to see. But this is the first time in live action or in any of the shows. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Really great.
Where your negative emotion, your hate can, like, because Kyber's alive, you can hurt it.
Yeah.
And so,
let's catch the people at home, because it didn't occur to me until before we went live that a lot of people don't know about this in canon, because it has been something only in the books, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
2017, that's when it was around, or when it was introduced.
So in Legends, to create a red lightsaber, this was artificial, correct?
Yeah, that they were synthetic, made like with a hate engine, essentially. The Sith grew them because, they needed originally lightsabers had big backpacks.
Right.
And so, the Sith needed something to combat the Jedi's lightsaber, so they created their own synthetic crystals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it was introduced in new canon.
Yes.
When in the Disney canon.
Yeah.
That they were bled. So like a crystal could be taken.
Yeah, that like the red are corrupted other colors, basically. Yes. Yeah.
And we were talking about this before the show. Feel free, someone, to correct me. I did not look this up, but I think that this was introduced first with Kylo Ren's crystal, in that I don't know that it was ever in an official source, but his was cracked because of his conflict, because when he bled it.
Yeah. He broke it.
Now I know this is official now in the comic books, but I think that it happened.
I'm fighting you on this, because I still don't think. I think we always knew his crystal was cracked. We just didn't know why it was cracked.
Okay.
That was the whole thing.
Somebody correct us. I am curious.
I think that it happened first in the comic books, in Vader comic.
Well, I know that we saw it for the first time in the comics, but I'm saying that I thought that the concept was invented for Kylo Ren, but we never actually saw it.
Yeah.
Until we saw it in the comic books.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if anybody knows the answer to that.
Two, that's why Kylo Ren has a crossguard lightsaber.
It's to vent the exhaust.
Yes, these are exhaust ports. It's not really like actually a crossguard. Yeah, which I love. I love everything about that. Like, I mean,
it's one of my favorite changes in the Disney canon.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool, because on the flip side, Ahsoka, that's how she's gotten her white lightsabers, is that she was able to purify them, redeem them, basically, and bring the crystals back, because she took them from Inquisitors she had murked in one way or another.
Yeah. So, it's a great piece of lore.
Yeah.
And the best version of this, I think, is Vader and how he got his red saber.
Yeah.
So again, if you guys don't know the story,
kind of similar to this.
Yeah. So he kills a Jedi
without a weapon.
Yep. Yeah. Because Palpatine sends him on this crusade to kill a Jedi to get his weapon.
Yeah.
And he goes in the cave on Mustafar, right? Where eventually he would build his castle, if I'm not mistaken. And he starts to bleed the crystal. And I love this scene. It's one of my favorite Vader scenes of all time, where he starts getting flashes of like all of the evil in his life, but then a lot of the good. And for a moment, the red in his eyes turn back blue, and he's good again. And the comic follows him going to Palpatine, and he ignites the saber, but it's still green. Right? It's green, not blue. Right? It's green.
It's green, yeah.
And he strikes down Palpatine. And then he goes to Obi-Wan. He finds him in the desert on Tatooine. And he's still Vader, right? Yeah. He's got like all these mismatched limbs because of this quest he went on, and tattered cape. And he just falls to his knees before Obi-Wan, like begging for forgiveness. Yeah. And Obi-Wan just says the word Anakin. And then you're transported back to this cave, realizing that it's all a vision. And you hear everybody saying the word Anakin, realizing that that's who he hates the most, is himself. And that's what fully bleeds the crystal. And I'm like, my goodness.
It's good stuff.
It's excellent.
Yes.
I love it.
It's good stuff.
It's very, very good.
Now, do you like this better than just like, I like this color, so that's why I picked it?
Yeah.
Like in the old, okay. I just was curious. I talked to a couple people today.
Well, what do you mean?
And they didn't know about that.
Like,
maybe the lightsaber colors that they were just like, they were talking about, well, I know it from KOTOR. And you know that, like, if I wanted this color, I picked this color. That sort of thing.
Well, red, I mean...
red's bad. Yeah.
The red being bled, I think, is is a great piece of lore. As far as
Yeah.
other colors, I mean, it all,
Yeah.
I don't know, as long as it's not yellow.
Yeah. Well, orange is silly too. So in
They're
my
the same
opinion,
color.
yeah, it's silly.
Corporal wants you to see the difference between these two pictures, orange sabers and yellow sabers.
Yeah.
They're the same picture.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's only one black in my opinion.
Yes,
There's
only
pretty
one.
much only one purple.
Yeah.
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 So
Purple, I have less of it. I actually, now that we've seen more of this show, kind of like that Vernestra has purple because
Yeah.
she's kind of the Mace Windu type, and
Yeah.
she's walking that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're not yellow, that's all I care about.
Gotcha. Sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, back to the Acolyte though, her bleeding the soul's crystal.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Yeah.
Great moment.
And now it's weird because she now will use her father's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like Luke did before.
Yeah.
But now it's an instrument of evil rather than an instrument of good.
See, this is where it's like, again, the concept's
There's
great.
some good ideas.
I love the
it's
concept
just how we get
of
there. Yeah.
a dark twist on Luke.
Yeah.
But none of that's telegraphed.
Yeah.
None of
Well,
it really.
It's very like almost like X-Men First Class or X-Men United, where it's like where Magneto extends out his hand. It's like, come with me. And you're like, no, as the audience, don't do it. And then like they do, they go with him anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that's kind of how I felt with all of this. But at the same time, Konnor tries to do the Jedi thing and comfort her. And then what ends up happening?
And that comes out of nowhere. In
It
my
is.
opinion.
It
I
is
think
really
that's-
weird.
I would have loved if he would have done something along the lines of like, yeah, good. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
again, he's not Palpatine. I don't want him to do that,
Granted,
but something like,
remember
that
him in the
vein.
water though? I mean, like he did say like, you gonna join me and stuff. So I guess it's not out of the like.
Yeah. But just before this, he was all telling May like, strike him down, do
Yeah.
it. So why is he,
Yeah.
I don't know. Just like you did good. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the guy who was given the speech about killing a Jedi without a weapon back in
Mhm.
episode 1.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that comes out of nowhere to me, and I don't know. I don't hate it,
Yeah.
but I don't know what to make of it either.
Yeah.
And a question I'd like to pose to the audience. I only really know about the connection, the mirror to Luke, the dark mirror to Luke, because of the interviews from Leslie. Like that was her intention. Before we just said all that, did anybody get that? Did anybody make that connection that this was supposed to be the Empire Strikes Back moment, but flipped? I truly wonder, because I did not get the father-daughter relationship with.
They don't interact enough
Yeah.
for it.
And what works with Luke and Vader is like, they're not that.
Yeah.
That's not the point, is that they're father-son.
Yeah.
It's that Luke doesn't want that, but
Yeah.
Vader does, now that they know that they're related.
Mhm.
You don't even know about that relationship until that moment.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really work when you're trying to create that relationship. And then I don't know, there's something there that's a little bit lost, because Soul is Obi-Wan in this scenario. He's not Vader.
Yeah.
That would be like if Konnor came around and was like, I am your father. And then there was something like that there.
Mhm.
Again, concept, great. I love the idea of, now you're wielding your father's weapon, but it's you being used for evil.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know what Osha's going to do with it, because
Hold Knor's hand.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a little strange. And also, Konnor had that outfit waiting for her, a little black outfit.
Yeah.
Just sitting around,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Made this little number.
He was like,
Who
hey,
knew I could sew?
yeah, he's ready for my evil girlfriend.
Exactly.
He's ready to go.
I've been saving this for a rainy day. Just thought you'd look nice in it.
There's another character we got to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Really important.
Uh-oh.
Pretty important character from some books.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Vernestra Rwo.
Yeah.
So she's from the High Republic books,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's been in the show for quite a while.
Yeah. I know the one.
She's the one with the light whip.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't remember.
Yeah.
She got a little more interesting to me this week.
Yeah. Really liked the moment where Konnor had to put the helmet back on.
Really cool.
Yeah. That
I
it's
actually like
like
that a lot.
Yeah. And then too, the whole him watching her and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, okay, darn it. Leslie, I'm a little intrigued that I would be curious to see where this goes.
Too bad we didn't do more with this.
It's true. Yeah.
Again, that's a tease that I'm okay if that's a season 2 tease. That's
Yeah.
a fun season 2 tease.
Yeah.
Because I think that they actually did do a decent job telegraphing that
Mm-hmm.
as the season has gone on. But yeah, that was awesome. great payoff because it's a payoff in 2 ways, 3 ways actually. Payoff number 1, the whip and the scars.
Yeah.
Great. That's one hint toward their relationship. Payoff number 2, the helmet blocks out thoughts.
Yep.
There we go. Payoff number 3, Vernestra has psychometry.
Yeah.
So as soon as she gets off on that ship,
she knows exactly what's going on.
And then Kymer's like, shoot.
Yeah.
Dang it. Great moment.
Yeah.
And that's when all this stuff works because you've laid the breadcrumbs. You've established character motivations. You've established how things work.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes together in a beautiful payoff.
Yeah.
And it does it in a way that teases stuff down the road.
Yeah.
Why couldn't the whole show be that way?
I don't know.
But good stuff. I am a little confused why Vernestra goes so hard on making Sol the fall guy.
She's clearly hiding something or keeping people off her tail. There's got to be more going on that we don't know about.
I mean, I really liked this whole thing with Rancor, David Harwood's secret character.
Yeah. Neato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked that they're going to do a big internal audit of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And so Vernestra's really worried. She's like, crap, all this stuff. And now a former apprentice of hers is involved. Well, this can't come back to her. This is going to look real ugly real fast.
Yeah.
Well, Sol's dead anyway. Might as well just pin the whole thing on him.
Yeah.
We already were speculating fallen Jedi. It makes sense. Yeah. He was there on Brendok.
Yeah.
It kind of puts things up in a nice bow.
Well, I mean, too, that it also, no one can know about Kymir.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's got to tie up that loose end.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think this is kind of clever in a way because I think that Vernestra is acting in her own mind on the Jedi's best interest.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She thinks that doing this dark deed is what's best for the Jedi. And I think at the end, when she goes to Yoda, she's going to confide in him what happened with Kymir.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before anybody gets their pitchforks out, I think that, Vernestra knows nothing of the Sith. And now
all she said was someone who fell. Yeah.
She knows even more reason. She has even more reason to think it's not Sith. It's just her fallen Padawan.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wants to go to Yoda for advice about this. What would you do, if you had a fallen Padawan?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really interesting, a way to show the snowball of corruption. It's you're already sowing the seeds about how the Senate are distrusting the Jedi and vice versa. And Vernestra really is the catalyst for this.
Yeah.
And
well, it's like slippery slope too with her, where it's like, okay, if I just do this one thing, it's going to help with this. And then it's like, oh no, I need to do this now. And then I need to do this. And it's all right. If I just burn the body, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Ends justify the means.
And yeah, exactly. And then I just got to lie. And then I got to, then it's,
one small lie and everything is okay.
Everything's all going to be fine.
I'll go tie up my loose ends with Kymir and things will be fine. Right.
Yeah. No one will ever know.
It makes her an interesting character. Because I know very little about her from the High Republic, but from what I understand, she's kind of a straight shooter.
Yeah.
In that. And so
wonder what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Rancor, also really cool character.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, now that this is the second time a character in the show has done this, where they give a little foreshadow to what's going to happen with Anakin later on. Because he's like, what are you going to do when one of you guys snaps and there's not going to be anybody around to stop it? Like, okay, wow, really cool reference to Anakin. But it loses a lot of sauce. Because the prequels exist. It's one thing to write a really clever line like that before something comes out.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it in a show that chronologically takes place before, but chronologically in real life takes place after.
Way after.
It just feels a cheap attempt at being clever.
It feels a lot like Aragorn getting brought up by Theodril in The Hobbit. Yeah. Please go find the one that is called Strider. That he's 7 at this point, or he's 12 something. So stop that.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, where it's just you just want to tack that in there. That
That's where prequels go bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's it's the little hey,
this is coming.
You remember that thing that we're building up to?
Yeah.
Just hey, we know.
Hey,
it's coming.
They're in the microwave.
Yeah.
They'll be done soon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it happened twice. It's it's a cool line.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Will of the Force had a really fun post about that. he quoted that and he said, "This is the answer," pointing to Luke Skywalker, because Rancort's line is like, "Who's going to be there to stop it?"
Yeah.
Luke's there to stop it.
Heck
Thought
yeah.
that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the line, but again, it just feels like a cheap way of being clever, because Anastasia says the same thing. It's like you're trying to make your characters be real prophetic and all this, but it's hard to do when you as the writer know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it feels cheap. It feels like a cheap shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like that. And yeah, poking fun at the Jedi, or not poking fun. Now that we have the full picture, this is something else I want to bring up. Now that we have the full picture of the show, how do you feel about the Jedi's portrayal?
I think that it really is just showing that, like, it's getting us to the point that they are in episode 1, where they're really complacent with the Senate and everything. I think that that's what it's leading to, where it's like they're pretty, in episode 1, they're working pretty hand in hand with the Senate. When the Senate asks them to do something, they're going to do it. It's probably because of this internal investigation. It's going to ruin everything, and then really combine them, where it's like, okay, we're really working hand in hand with each other, rather than just being there's a nice symbiotic relationship happening in Phantom Menace, as opposed to this, where they're two separate entities trying to keep each other in balance.
I've been giving this a lot of thought, because you've mentioned at the beginning of the show that was like, how far back do we have to go for the Jedi to be good people? And I've heard a lot of people say, well, and even Leslie, and all this has been leading up to how bad the Jedi are in the prequels. And I'm like, are the Jedi really that bad in the prequels, though?
I think they're just complacent. That's the whole thing.
As an organization, yes. But most of the Jedi are good, though. Like, you look at Clone Wars. Yeah, they were generals, but they were all good people. They were helping people.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could argue, like, as an organization, they lost their way. And that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
That's different than showing them as bad people.
Yeah.
Because I think that in the prequels and in the Clone Wars, we see that as an organization, they got involved in the wrong cause.
Yeah.
But at their core, they were still good people, and they were still helping
Trying
people.
to do the right thing. Yeah.
Here, you see Jedi lie.
Yeah.
You see them kill people. You see them really fall. And I kind of don't like that. Now, again, we just see a couple bad apples.
I was about to say, it was just a bad situation that was poorly written.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because Rancourt makes it seem like it's a little more than that.
Yeah.
Like, about how you're a religion that's unchecked with power. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't see it that way, especially not in the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like an odd. I don't know why in Disney Star Wars we have this obsession with kind of tearing down the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like every property seems to want to do that. Like
in one way or another.
Yeah, Luke, it's time for the Jedi to end.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of get where Luke's coming from at that point, but also, I don't know. I think that Luke would want to build up the Jedi, in the best parts.
Yeah.
No, he just wants to tear it down. Just tearing down the institution.
It's over. Yep.
It's weird. It's kind of a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd mention that, because I thought as we were going through the show, it was like, oh, we're just seeing a couple bad apples, but this guy Rancourt kind of makes it seem like it's the whole batch.
He may have a vendetta against the Jedi.
Well, that's what they say. He does have a vendetta against the Jedi. It's
maybe
like,
he wanted to be a Jedi.
Maybe he's not. He's
going
to be one.
Wasn't allowed to be a Jedi. Yeah.
Odd.
All right. Well, time
that's
for fan.
That's the show.
Yeah, fan questions.
Fan
right?
questions. Nothing else happened. I don't think. That was about it.
Yeah.
Time for the fan questions. No. Okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the big
moon in the room.
Yeah, the big. That's no space station. That's a moon.
It's a moon.
I saw that joke on Reddit. I can't take credit for it. All right. So we got about 4 seconds of the man, the myth, the legend, Darth Plagueis the Wise.
I know.
It's not a story the Acolyte would tell you.
I know.
Because we only got 4 seconds of it.
Hey, okay, honest, like, when it happened, what did you think when it was going on?
So, okay, we were watching.
Yeah.
And those little fingers came around. I was like, whoa, okay. And I was like, who's it going to be?
Yeah.
And then as soon as we saw his face, my wife even was like, is that Plagueis?
Yeah. With us, you see the fingers, and I was like, And then my wife just goes, who's Nosferatu? And then I was like, holy cow. And then she's like, does he have a nose? Like, because she knows I don't want him to have a nose. And so we paused it. And I was like, I don't really see a nose. And she's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, it's great design.
Before we even get into anything,
yeah,
they nailed his design.
He looked awesome.
Nailed it.
The eyes, just everything. He looked great.
It looked excellent.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
First of all, the placement in the episode is weird.
Yeah.
Like it just happens.
It was very
randomly.
MCU-y.
Even then, it felt like I would have rathered this than the Yoda thing.
Yeah.
Have
At the very end.
Have it there when they're holding hands,
Yeah.
and then cut to that.
Yeah.
It just felt really weird where it was.
Yeah.
Because then you think that he's going to show back up,
Yeah.
and he doesn't.
Yeah.
It just feels like such an odd tease to not have at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would have rather they swapped this and Yoda somehow.
Had Yoda just...
Very strange.
Yeah.
Again, it's like every good idea is like...
yeah. But at what cost? Yeah.
So his age is a little strange because I'll read... So let me read an excerpt from the book.
Yeah.
Plagas rocked his head. Governments rise and fall. Palpatine, you have a better idea of how to govern the galaxy. Plagas allowed a laugh. I'm just an old moon. Wait.
I was wondering, why are you
Plagueis
doing
allowed
the
a laugh.
voice?
I'm just an old moon. Who would I can't do that because nobody's going to understand what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
I'll just read it normal. I'm just an old moon. Who wouldn't know about that? Seeing through him, Palpatine snorted. Just how old are you? In human years, I'd be well over 100. Now this, I believe, because I didn't pull this from the actual book, I pulled this just from the internet. It was somewhere before Palpatine's chancellorship.
Yeah.
So
this is when they first meet, right?
I thought
on Naboo when they're talking.
I thought this was somewhere around.
I think that when they're driving in the speeder.
Yes, I thought that was ish around there. So I don't know where this idea is. Because I read this too, that he would be around 15 during the time of this show.
Yeah,
still possible. Well, yeah, that could be the case. Maybe that's where we're getting the age is maybe people are taking that moment and just dialing it back 100 years.
Yeah.
But well over 100, we don't know his age. And also, this is Legends, guys.
Yeah.
Let's keep that in mind.
It's kind of like a Ki-Adi-Mundi situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think now, I will say, like as a fan of this book, Ki-Adi-Mundi's age is a lot more like whatever.
Yeah.
You can change that. I think we got to be a little bit more careful with Plagueis because
of what the heck's he doing?
Because timelines matter a little more with the Sith because of the rule of two.
Yeah.
Like people matter and successions and lines and things like that. So him being here just as a matter of principle, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Sure. If they want to mess with it a little bit.
I'm really happy that they kept him a moon.
Dude.
Yeah.
If nothing else came from this show.
I'm fine with that.
Nothing else.
I'm happy about that.
The fact that they canonized his race.
Yes. Because all we had was a stupid little picture that was in like a book. Where
a comic
it's just,
book, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a comic book. I think it's in a guidebook. Where you just see two,
you're right. Yes.
Yeah, where it's just like you just see two eyes and a shadowy figure. And it's like it's got a description of him and everything. And I'm like, that's dumb. No, like I want to actually see what he looks like. So
and this, by the way,
look at the cover.
This is the book that canonized or that made him immune. So from what I understand, it was Lucino asked Lucas his opinion, and there's some conflicting stories about this, but Lucas said he could either be immune or a Nemoidian, but some people say the Nemoidian thing was about Tenebris. So it depends on what source you look at.
Yeah.
But this book made him immune, and this came back in 2012.
Yeah.
And so he was not immune before this.
Yeah.
And so that the reason why I mention that and why that's important is because if they canonize that aspect of this book, him being immune is very integral to this story.
It's true.
It's a huge part. It's not just that he's a random alien.
Yeah.
It's huge. Like him being a member of the banking clan,
yes.
Higo Damask.
Hey, Higo Damask. Yes.
So
did you see that tweet today where it's like, you guys just need to relax. That's just Higo Damask.
Yeah, I did see that. So great.
Yeah.
That's what makes me excited is like, if nothing else about this show, if I have loved anything or hated anything, whatever, we canonize this part of it. And now any other person wanting to
moving forward, they have to
adhere to that.
Yes.
That's now canon.
And if she did anything, good on her.
Yeah.
Yeah. For doing that, at least.
Because I saw a lot of people on the other side saying like, they could change it. They could make it different. And I'm like, no, why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they? I was always in the camp
and what's
that there
the
was
point
no
of
reason.
doing it? Yeah.
That would be like taking Thrawn and bringing him into canon and making him like a random white guy
Or a Wookiee.
or a Wookiee. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to. I always think about this interview from Filoni when he said like they when they're going to bring in a character from Legends, or if they're going to bring any character and there's a Legends counterpart, if people already like that, they're just going to try their best to bring that character in as is.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It just seems like pointless to do it and just make people mad on purpose.
making enemies. Yeah.
So anyway, so now to the story aspects here. I'll ask you a question.
My theories.
Is this Chimere's master?
No.
Ah.
So my theory, this is, I think this is why Kylo Ren's theme plays with Chimere. I think Plagas is there to kill Chimere. I don't think Chimere knows that Plagas is there. Because I think that Plagas, the Sith are out there looking for anything that could help them win the war. Win the war. Chimere even says, the Jedi would call me a Sith. I don't think he actually considers himself a Sith. Maybe that, I know that, like, doesn't Manny call himself a Sith in that interview? But yeah, that he may have just said that just to keep people off the trail of this. But I think that's why the Kylo Ren theme plays for him, is that he's the other side. Like, he is not the Bane line. He's just another Darksider. And I mean, how cool would that be if Plagueis comes in and tears both of them up? Like, how powerful would he have to be? Because we've shown how powerful Chimere is. It's nice power scaling. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Or do you think that he's his master? Because again, all I would think is just what I've done playing, like, or it's like, and then, hey, I got someone I'd like you to meet. Cut to what I've done. Yeah, directed by Leslie, or written by Leslie.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I could go 50-50 on this.
Yeah.
I could go either way. Going on the he's not his master angle first. I do think there's a good chance.
Yeah,
he is there to kill him.
Oh yeah,
he's just watching.
He's just waiting. Yeah,
because in the book, Plagueis for a good amount of time goes and just hunts other Darksiders.
Yes, I
still think there's a good shot that maybe Chimere is Darth Venomous.
Yeah,
there is an aspect of this that we didn't talk about when we initially pitched this theory. When Venomous appears for the first time in the book, he descends from a tree.
Yeah,
we see him do that in here.
Yeah, and
Venomous being a former apprentice of Darth Tenebris, I think that's an interesting question too. Is Tenebris still alive at this time?
Yeah, he did look really old. But he was not wearing a rebreather, though, either.
Yes, that was another thing I was going to point out. As I went back and looked, Plagueis does not have a mask. Now, again, that's just assuming
that he's still the exact same.
For the sake of argument, I'm going to take this book as
soft
loose
canon.
Loose canon. Okay. And in the book, there is a moment sort of toward the last half,
he almost gets assassinated.
Yeah, he almost gets assassinated, and it's well into Palpatine's apprenticeship.
Yeah,
and Palpatine or Plagueis has a breathing apparatus, and he has a mask. So if you ever see art of Plagueis, sometimes he looks normal, like this.
Yeah, or sometimes, like the show. Yeah,
and sometimes he has a mask, and that's why. And so that was an important thing that I noticed too. I was like, okay, good. He doesn't have the mask. Yeah. But he also could just look like that because he's a Darksider, and that it just degrades your body and your appearance.
Again, he looked very Nosferatu, hiding in the cave, like watching. Yeah.
So I think it could be that Tenebris is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is on Baldemnik, keep in mind.
It's true.
Right?
Well, what we think is Baldemnik, which I think it is.
It's got to be
the Cortosis mine
now
is
that Plagueis is here, there's no way this book was not... It's the first page. It's the first chapter is with Baldemnik.
Yeah.
So now that we know that this was a clear inspiration for this series, I think there's no reason to think this is not Baldemnik. So if this is Baldemnik and they are following this book, Tenebris has to be dead.
Yeah.
Because that happens right away in the book while they're on Baldemnik.
His body's still probably on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's where I kind of lean toward this is Chimere's master. Mm-hmm. Because how did Chimere get here? How did Chimere get to Baldemnik?
I don't know.
And so I don't know. And also who trained Chimere? Because somebody had to train him in the dark side.
Yeah.
So it couldn't just be nobody. But that could have been Tenebris also if we're going to the Venomous route.
Yeah.
So I like both theories. I like the idea that Plagas is his master.
Mm-hmm.
But then Osha and Kymir got to go,
Yeah.
clearly, because I mean, he's got to sire Palpatine.
It's
at some
true.
point.
I was going to say, and now it feels like I can see that through line now with Plagueis being here, and you got them. Like it's like, okay, now we got to get to Palpatine. It's like something has to happen to these lovers or whatever, but the audience will care about them dying now. So I'm like, dang, I'm kind of intrigued to see more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I like kind of what the path that the show is now laying out. That I, as she said in the beginning, this is all about getting to Palpatine. Well, now I feel like we're getting to Palpatine.
Yeah, well, finally, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I'd like, as for what I would like as far as those theories, I'd like this to be the venomous route. I think that fits your idea about this being the more Kylo Ren theme, that connection.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Like Plagueis is just letting things play out to a certain point.
Yeah.
He's just watching, collecting information, seeing like, maybe he was there ready to strike him down, but saw May and was like, huh.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Gotta
or maybe Ego Damask knows Kymir.
It's true.
Maybe they know each other.
But he does not know that he's a Sith Lord.
Yeah,
also.
maybe he tips him off to Baldemnik. Maybe that's the connection too.
And maybe that's it. That I was going, oh, that's kind of interesting. That like, because what's Kymir's ship look like too?
It kind of looks like Rujas Gnome's ship.
Yeah.
Which is Darth Tenebrous.
Yes. I was going to say too, that it looks almost like a Sith Interceptor as well, which that was a gift too, right?
Yes. It was a gift from Darth Plagueis. I think Tenebrous designed it.
Yeah.
Because Tenebrous was a starship designer.
Yes. So
yes. There's a lot of connections here.
There's
a lot of puzzle pieces.
Yeah. I think that the sandbox is kind of fun. I'm curious to see where it would go. Yeah. But
no, if I would love to see more. I would love to see more. I hope that we tighten it down.
Yeah.
Don't confine it to just 8 episodes. If it's got to be 8, if it's got to be 6, if it's got to be 2.
Yeah. If
that's the story, tell it. Don't constrain it. If it's got to be a movie, tell it in a movie.
Yeah.
I just want to see the best version of the story, and please, just I hate to say it, but write it a little better. You know what I mean? Like tighten it up a little bit. And what I'm hoping is now that we're at this point, I'm hoping this is now the story Leslie wanted to tell, and maybe it'll be a lot. I think
it has to be. I think that it's like, well, you don't know Game of Thrones, but a bunch of stuff happens in Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones actually starts.
Yeah.
And this feels like that I've watched that now. That like, and now we're ready for the real story.
But we've heard her say a lot, like Frozen meets Kill Bill, and that was supposed to be the story of the sisters and all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get that, so
I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
One thing though, if playing with the idea that this is Kymir's master, Plagueis is Kymir's master. Here's a quote that Plagueis tells Palpatine that I thought about. Remember why the Sith are more powerful than the Jedi, Sidious, because we are not afraid to feel. We embrace the spectrum of emotions, from the heights of the transcendent joy to the depths of hatred and despair. Fearless, we welcome whatever paths the dark side sets us on and whatever destiny it lays out for us. And so I wonder if Plagueis is like allowing this relationship with Osha, not because he wants an acolyte, but because he's like, develop a romantic relationship with her, get stronger in the dark side, and then maybe he'll cut her down. And maybe he'll cut Kymir down.
Yeah.
And let Osha grow from that.
The other thing too is like, we've already seen Leslie mimic Vader and Luke. Now let's see Leslie mimic Anakin and Palpatine.
Right.
Or Anakin Padme, sorry.
Well, I wrote that down too. Like I could imagine maybe later Palpatine or Plagueis will relay this lesson to Palpatine.
Yeah.
And that's maybe Palpatine, that's where he gets some of these ideas. Because he didn't just come up with the Padme thing was not part of the plan.
Yeah.
That just happened to work out. And Palpatine
really
was great at
manipulating.
It was great at just taking things as they came his way.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the seed sown.
Yeah.
I don't like that this is happening all the time where it's like, oh, Osha and May are the prototypes for what would become Anakin, because that's straight from Leslie's mouth. And if this is the prototype for the plan that would be Anakin and Padme's manipulation, it's like, okay, we don't have to do this all the time, guys.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by like diluting.
That's not good. That's not good rhyming. How about that?
Yeah.
That's just rhiming. Well, it's poetry. It rhymes. That's just, it rhymes.
End out the convo here. This is kind of the last thing I wanted to say, which is, I've been seeing this phrase on Twitter a lot, which is the word dangling keys, or the phrase dangling keys, and how this show is doing that. And I'll be real. I kind of agree.
Yeah.
As much as I liked this Plagueis thing, I kind of felt like it was tacked on.
Yeah. Well, Yoda felt tacked on too.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Plagueis I'm fine with. I really don't like the Yoda shot. That little thing at the end. That felt straight out of the MCU, not a good way. It felt like Nick Fury.
Yeah. Well, the joke I've been making.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I thought when I saw it. And like, I'm like, that's what you're ending this on? The story about the Sith, and you're ending on Vernestra talking to Yoda for a second?
Yeah.
Like that literally felt like, hey, Star Wars fans, hey,
look who it is.
Hey, it's the ear guy. He's got the great ears.
It's your guy. Him? It's your guy. Yeah.
We said he wasn't going to be in it. How we got you, right?
Yeah.
That's all it felt like. And we've been getting this all throughout this season, but I just wrote a bunch from just this episode. I'll see you in hell, soul. Like that's just a line from Han Solo.
Yeah.
You know, and also real quick with that, why didn't Soul just force grab May out of the escape pod?
It was very
right
odd.
there.
Or why didn't he stab like the escape pod with his lightsaber? It was, yeah.
And did you notice the tunnel that May crawls out of?
Yeah.
Almost identical to Luke Skywalker's. She falls down a pit to her death, but somehow gets sucked down
to the side. Yeah. I will say that when they were sneaking back into the mine, I thought it was cool that everyone had their own way in.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was cool that May like went through the underground tunnel and then Chimera just walked through a wall or whatever, disappeared. Yeah. And then like Osha had to hotwire her way in. Like that's kind of cool.
Hotwired an elevator from a place that exploded through an electrical fire. Yeah.
Listen, man. It's a galaxy far, far away. And it's fantastical. So maybe the elevator survived.
It did.
Yeah. Wait,
somehow
an elevator that got broken from May broke the elevator so the Jedi couldn't use it. Right? Isn't that what happened? Didn't she do that?
No.
With the little May. Didn't she break the elevator so no one could leave?
I guess that's
and then
true.
Started a fire?
Yeah. Somehow the elevator returned.
It's true. That's the real mystery.
So just keep going down.
Yeah.
A pupil of mine before he turned to evil.
Yeah.
Word for word. They just keep recycling dialogue.
That's not good rhyming.
All throughout this show. Like just keep recycling dialogue. And now it kind of...
Did they ever say I have a bad feeling about this?
Yes, Yord said it. And that's the fun. Fine with that one. Because that's a running joke.
That's fine. Yeah.
You get a pass.
Yeah.
Even though it's from Yord. You get a pass. But and then Darth Plagueis and then Yoda. And it just feels like... It really just feels like, okay, now here's the thumbnails for all your YouTube videos this week. And I'm going to really resist not putting Yoda or Plagueis in our thumbnail. I don't know. We'll see if that actually happens. But, just my little cursory glance at Twitter and on YouTube, that's everybody, like everywhere. Plagueis.
That's all they talk about.
And it's like, good job, guys. You got everybody talking about your show for the last, and the dangling keys worked.
Yeah.
And it's like, sorry, that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
I like Plagueis. And we had some fun speculating about where that all could go from a story perspective. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But realistically, that's not enough for me. I need a good story. I need a good, and I think this is fan service at its worst. This is where I feel like people complain about fan service.
Yeah.
Because we've been on the defensive for fan service in the past. You know, it's not a dirty word, fan service. I'm a fan, service me. Right.
Yeah.
But when it comes at the expense of your story, and when you're dangling keys in front of me, it patronizes your audience. And I think it infantilizes them a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, Plagueis, I think you could argue either way because we've been kind of teasing that. Okay. But Yoda, it really felt like that.
Yeah.
It really felt like just, hey, Star Wars fans,
check this out. Isn't
you
this
remember
cool?
Yoda?
Yeah.
It's lame. It's lame. And in contrast that with something like Ahsoka. When Anakin shows up. Anakin is a character. A character who means a lot to Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, no, and that's so important to the story too. I mean, she literally died. So that's the only way she could see him. Yeah.
And so him appearing is not a dangling keys in front of the audience. You actually have to think a lot about what happens in that. I remember we talked about this at the time.
I was going to say, goodness, you called me and we talked for like 45 minutes about that episode and about like the implications and like what that stuff meant. Yeah.
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 Whereas this feels like the opposite. This is actually a point my wife made, is like it felt like the opposite of Ahsoka, where they just told you a lot of stuff and they dangled a lot of keys in front of you.
Yeah.
But there was just not a lot of substance behind it. That's kind of a bummer. Any closing thoughts?
Do you think that she's going to get another season?
I would venture a guess that she will.
Yeah. I get you. Are you excited for another season?
Normally I'm the guy who's always like, I'll catch you on the next one. I'm going to say mostly yes. I am excited about it, but you're going to have to really convince me.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
You got a lot of ground to make up.
This needs to now be a show about the dark side. That is the whole thing. This needs to now be about the bad guys.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be going into the next season
very pessimistic,
with very low expectations, and maybe that's a good thing.
And well, that's why I think I liked this episode so well. It's because I went in with no expectations. That I just was like, well, we'll see where this goes, and then it started kind of with some fire. That I was like, okay, all right, this is good.
In a vacuum, I think the episode's actually kind of good.
Yeah,
I'd put it like maybe a 7.
Yeah,
maybe even an 8.
It was my favorite episode of all of them. Yeah,
it's just like if we could pretend for a moment that a lot of the stuff that they did was set up in other episodes, I could give it a lot higher rating, honestly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it just, again, we don't need to reiterate the whole episode, but yeah,
that's all.
But you looking forward? You think we're going to get another season?
I think that we have to at this point. That I think that at least in some capacity, I think the story has to continue. I think maybe it'll be a book. Maybe it'll be a comic or an animated series or something like that.
I think realistically, you always got to look at Disney. Like that's a Disney decision. So I always like to break it down by artist, and then the person cutting the check, which is Disney. Yeah. So we've been criticizing the artist and the art, right, this whole time. But now we got to look at, as far as who makes a second season. Well, that's a Disney choice.
Wonder how much it was doing, or how well it was doing on Disney Plus.
It's been doing very well.
I was going to say, because people have been talking about it, because even people who are hating on it are watching it.
Hate watching is still watching, unfortunately, or fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it. So I think there's a good chance it still gets a second season, just given they've only ever not shown a second, continued a story with Solo. Yeah. And I'd be very surprised. Yeah. This had a very clear, weird continuation.
Yeah. More needs to happen.
And I think people are, just from what I've seen today, even people who were pretty down on the show or were like us right now, hey, I didn't like it, but you set up some stuff I'd like to see. Yeah. And I think that they'll probably continue it, if I had to guess. Right. But I don't know. There's also another part of it where Bob Iger, he's now up there.
Yeah, he's cleaning house and stuff.
Cleaning house.
Yeah.
So he may just say it's not worth it. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But they did, on the flip side, the official Star Wars accounts, when they posted all their stuff about season finale airing now. They didn't do that with
series.
They did. They are very specific about their words.
Yeah.
So
they said season?
Or they did say season.
Okay, yes. They did not say series finale.
They did not say series, because I did that with Obi-Wan. They said series.
Yeah.
There we go. There you have it.
Yeah.
I think it's time to hear from the homies at home and touch in with some of our other creators with the mug in the fan question segment.
Yeah.
Clear your mind of a question.
Every week on Instagram, I put up a prompt on our stories asking you guys your opinion on the topic of the week. This week, of course, is about the finale of The Acolyte. Going forward, we're going to have some new questions. Be on the lookout for those. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I've been putting up a prompt on YouTube as well in the polls. I will try to continue doing that as well. But with the mug, we're going to continue our tradition from The Acolyte, rounding out for the final week here.
Yeah.
We've been
keeping them good vibes going.
Yeah, keeping up the good vibes, combating some of the discourse from The Acolyte. You know how it is. We don't need to get into the whole spiel. So we've got some creators in here, and we're going to pull out a couple names, talk about them a little bit. Go over there and just throw down a like on their most recent video. And if you feel so inclined, give them a sub, a follow.
Comment.
Yeah. Tell them they look nice. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Who do we got? The mystery.
Tales from Tosche Station.
Tales from Tosche Station. Yes. Jacob. Great guy over there.
Mm-hmm.
Newer podcasts.
Yes. Starting
bit.
Some what ifs.
Yeah. Some fun stuff down the pipeline of that. Mm-hmm. Some stuff that we may or may not be involved in.
Might have helped out in the creation of.
Wink, wink, a nudge, nudge.
Yes.
Be sure to go check that stuff out.
Yes.
great creative mind over there at Tales from Tosche Station, and a fun name.
Yes.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Always wonder if he's going to tell a tale of how he picked up those power converters.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, be sure to go check out Jacob. He's got some great content over there. Does some great collabs. Had a great conversation about Starkiller with some other creatives a few weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, go check it out.
And he was involved in our villains tier list.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he had he had Vader, I believe.
Yeah.
So great content over there. I've got all the stuff. You know the drill.
Yeah.
Links in the description.
Help a guy out.
Last one.
Yeah.
The final one.
This is it.
We give this guy enough airtime.
Yeah.
BLOORE on Mandalore.
Oh, him.
This guy.
This guy.
This dude.
Yep.
BLOORE on Mandalore. You guys know. We're simping for this guy at this point.
Yeah, it's true.
We talk about him so much on this show. He's such a nice guy. Jeremy BLOORE needs no introduction. He's just such a fun. I said it before. I've said it a million times on here. He's got a personality that's just fun to listen to, and the Darksaber mic. He's always out in the Australian wilderness, just chatting, doing Star Wars.
Yeah,
he's rapidly growing as a talent. It's insane. Like when you watch his stuff, you'll be like, man, this guy's been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
No, just picked up a camera a few months ago.
Yeah.
Learned how to do visual effects, been composing music, stop motion, you name it.
Just figuring out how to do animation. Yeah.
Just on a whim.
Yeah.
You know, just have a couple weird takes from time to time.
He does.
Go check out his short about Basil a couple weeks ago.
Rant about Basil. And also his handsome film crew.
A little sus. That was funny.
Yes.
I dug that.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed that. Jeremy's great.
Yeah.
You guys know we talk about him all the time here. Go check out BLOORE on Mandalore, Jeremy BLOORE on YouTube, Instagram, all the other platforms. You know, I got those links in the description. Without further ado, let's hear from the homies at home. The baby Coleman. Why did they wipe May's memory? Why didn't the three of them just leave together?
Well, I would think you kind of answered it though. That if the Jedi got a hold of May, can't Vernestra do her little thing?
Her psychometry?
Yeah, couldn't she do psychometry on her?
That's a good point, but why not say any of that?
I know.
Because let's say that's true.
Yeah.
The characters don't know that. Kymir does.
Yeah.
Osha and May don't know that.
Don't have a clue. Yeah.
And we don't know May's motivations at all. She's just cool with her sister going. We do hear that she's like, you're going to do what you were always meant to do.
Whatever.
Do what?
Exactly. What does that mean?
Go be a Sith?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Go be a Force user?
Go be a witch?
It's weird.
That's the only thing I can think.
What do you think about Kymir's eyes being black? Well, throwing that out there. Did you notice
earlier
that?
in the episode?
Yeah.
I think that was because Osha was in his head, just like Torben.
Gotcha. And his eyes are just black?
Well, Torben's eyes were black during that too.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That was a great way to show that, by the way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
C. Palasek. Was May actually going to turn Soul in or just have Osha hear his confession?
I think she was going to turn him in.
Both.
Yeah. I think that it was the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what she was going to do back in episode 4.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, I'm going to, get on my sister's good side and do all this. Check this out. Al_Renshaw. Why do they not explore Soul Kymir's connection? I don't think they have one. I know that
Kymir knows a lot about him, though. That's the
maybe
whole
just
thing.
from May.
May telling him.
It's got to be it.
Yeah. I don't think Kymir's connected to anybody except kind of like Vernestra a little bit. Yeah.
I think the reason people are thrown off is because he's like, you don't remember me in episode 5. I think it's just because they hung out in episode 2 for a second. But it's just a weird... I keep mentioning that this show has like manipulative storytelling, and that's what I mean. Technically, that's correct.
Yeah.
When
but you're making it seem like it's way more than that.
Yeah. I really think that's it. I think that's all it has to do with.
Yeah.
The Joe M. Cat. Is this Plagas investigating Venenous's list of Force users or a new Nosferatu approach?
I like that was just everything that you and I talked about. That's insane.
Funny.
That is crazy. They even mentioned Nosferatu. Like that is, oh my gosh. Yes. I'm hoping that it is that because that's what happened in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're following that book, then yeah.
Yeah.
Kymir's just one of the many apprentices.
KatieSaurus.Rex just wanted to appreciate the unique creepiness this show has pulled off. Yeah. Something I didn't mention that reminded me of Soul, when he died, something about that just felt gross to me. Maybe this might be a personal preference, but I thought about when you talk about Andor, you mentioned about how you don't like how dark that is, and
how real it feels. Yeah,
how that makes you feel. The Jedi, when they get massacred in the 5th episode, that feels kind of like an earned payoff.
Yeah.
Here, I don't know what it was about Soul getting his force choked.
Yeah.
It made me feel uneasy, but not in the way I think the show wanted me to.
Yeah.
It felt kind of gross. Like I kind of felt like, I don't feel like this is appropriate. I don't know. Like it just felt like you're just killing, like it almost felt like the writers were just having fun killing their characters.
Yeah.
Like from an outside perspective, it didn't feel like
he had to die because if we keep him alive, that just complicates stuff. Yeah. I gotcha.
Again, maybe a personal preference, but it just, that felt the most dark of anything in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And again, maybe that has a lot to do with how Osha is performed in that scene, because she's just like,
at that point, just a robot.
I just got a really eerie vibe. Again, maybe that's the point, but I just felt creepy, as Katiesaurus.Rex says. Second thought, how cool would it be to see Manny Jacinto saber duel Hayden? That'd be kind of fun.
It would be. A couple prodigies
say
doing their thing.
Hayden's got a lot of years on Manny, but Manny, prodigy, as you said.
Yep.
Zack Attack. Do you agree that Soul's demise lacked la sauce? Now only Chimere Plagas can carry this. Rip.
Yeah.
I kind of just talked about that. Like,
I
didn't think that it lacked sauce per se. It just felt, I don't know, it made me feel queasy. I just, it's weird.
Well, I think it's too that, like, he's, like, think about all the other people that get choked. That, like, he's like looking her in the face going, it's okay, you can kill me. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of it. It's like, that's dark. That's tough. Yeah.
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 I know I mentioned the interviews a lot.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. That gets himself
Maybe
choked.
That's it. It's like...
Again, does that mean I'm still in command?
Yeah. Star Wars is... I like when it gets dark, but also there is a camp to it.
Yeah.
Like what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, director. Like it's pretty messed up what's happening, but we get a little bit of fun thrown in there, a little spice, a little Vader sass.
Yeah.
And here it's just, you're right. It's extremely messed up to watch.
Yeah.
Like we always cut away from the darkness. Maybe I'm starting to see why your point on this darkness thing, because I remember giving you a hard time and you talked about it with Andor, but yeah, there is something about that. And I know I keep talking about the interviews, but the way that Leslie talks about some of these core Star Wars things is a little strange.
Yeah.
Like it's just a little like, really? That's how you interpreted that?
What I wonder too is like, so did you hear the story on Yord, where Yord came from?
No.
It's one of her D&D characters.
Oh, I knew that this whole story was about her D&D campaign.
So I wonder, has that kind of clouded her mind? Because, for the sake of the D&D campaign, we had to change things and we had to manipulate things. And I wonder if that's why it's kind of mucky in places. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because
D&D campaigns, I mean, they're planned, but not, right?
Well, and then like it's storytelling, but it's a very, very unique style of storytelling
that can only exist in that way.
Exactly. It's like wrestling. Wrestling is a very unique way to tell the story where like the wrestlers are experiencing it in a different way than the audience is experiencing it, who are experiencing it in a different way than the people watching it at home are experiencing it. Playing the game of D&D or in a campaign, a Star Wars campaign, you're experiencing that story completely different than me trying to retell you my Star Wars campaign.
Right.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's where the pizza rolls didn't make it into the oven.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because we've talked about how like there are great things, almost like a DM setting up the thing.
Good moments.
But your players can deviate.
Yep.
And that's cool while you're a player, but watching it can be...
Exactly.
It's not as cohesive.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Jojo_Swaggins. Plagas. That's all. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Hey, happy to attend.
At least he's a moon.
At least he's a moon.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Uh-oh.
This is Josh Fries. Don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened. Lightsaber duels were good though. I don't know why that got me so much. But
Wow. Okay.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Cry because it happened.
Okay.
You stop it, Josh. That's really funny.
Yeah.
That just caught me off guard. Second, you got a 3-parter here.
Holy cow.
Second part, it felt like I didn't have a character protagonist to cheer for the entire series.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. The first part just really cracked me up, Josh. I'm not gonna lie. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Well, because I just read the first part, like, don't cry because it's over. And then,
yeah.
Good stuff. Alan Diaz V. Why didn't they have Sith eyes? I wondered that.
So, when she takes off the helmet for a moment, it looks like she might have Sith eyes for just a moment. Like, it's weird. Or maybe that's the reflection of the red lightsaber that she saw in the vision. We're not, like, my wife and I stopped and stared at it for a while because it looks like her eyes are red for just a moment.
Now you mentioned that, I think that she saw herself in that vision.
Yeah.
Not May.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Yes.
A nice little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't realize that?
No, I did. I just forgot to mention it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I thought that was just a good moment.
Yeah.
Another thing that would have been great during her choking out soul thing, while she's bleeding the crystal, have her eyes start to bleed red.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Oh.
It's fine. Uh-oh.
Here's a new face. I may or may not have just blurred the name on this one because this is my wife, and I don't know that she knows that I show the icons, the full names here. So she put a question here. What would you like to see next in the story if we get a season 2?
I'll watch a love story. I don't care. That I'm curious to see about them and their weird little relationship, and then I want to see Plagueis destroy it. And at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing like the kind of a political thriller with the Jedi and Vernestra, kind of House of Cards, just trying to keep everything afloat. And I think that like that's 2 interesting stories that could kind of be that could eventually intersect.
Especially knowing that Vernestra is Chimere's master.
Exactly. That like, yes, that making sure that she's the one that has to take him down and everything like that. That could be really, really interesting. And then the idea of this like doomed lovers could be really, really interesting with like Plagueis manipulating the 2 of them. And then also a young Palpatine. Maybe that's the tease for the end of next season. I don't know. That's still pretty early.
It's pretty early.
Yeah.
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 That's interesting. I mean, everything you said, you're right. The chess pieces are laid for a really interesting season 2.
Yeah.
And maybe this is like a Clone Wars season 1 scenario.
Yeah.
And even then, Clone Wars season 1 is more of a production issue. I think the writing is fine, but yeah.
Did you ever watch Castlevania?
I have not. I've heard it's good.
Castlevania is really rough that first season.
Is it?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's just okay. But like, season 2 is awesome.
Okay.
So like that jump is crazy from both like the storytelling and like,
and that's why I'd ultimately like to see a season 2. Because I'd like to give artists the chance to continue.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like the idea like if you fumble once, then you're done.
Yeah.
Because if that were the case, then a lot of us we'd just be done. Yeah. Right. Like if we had a bad episode and it's like, well, then you're done. Imagine if that was the world.
Well, you and I tried also doing this with other people and doing different things and like, different projects that like eventually led to this. Yeah. So it's,
And like, I'm thinking about photography too. There've been many times where I've taken a photo and been like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And imagine if that was it. If the brass, whatever brass would be commanding me, came down and was like, yeah, you're done. And I get it. There's money behind it. And there's a lot, it's a lot more nuanced. I understand that, but I just think that art there should be a little more levity than just straight business decisions. But I also understand that there is business to that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, both have to exist in a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Lewis 1991. MUFC. What is Vernestra planning on talking to Yoda about? Surely he sees through her cover-up. I imagine that Yoda could care less about politics.
Yeah.
And the Senate and all this stuff, because he kind of cares less during the prequels. It's more Mace Windu who's
trying to uphold that.
Yeah.
The Jedi's face to everyone.
So I imagine if Vernestra was to bring anything up, he'd be like, whatever, I don't care about that. I imagine that Vernestra more wants to talk about what to do about Chimere.
Yeah.
Like Master Yoda, I had an apprentice, he's fallen to the dark side and he's caused a lot of these problems. It wasn't Master Soul. And Yoda would be like, sucks that does. What do we do?
Time's troubled.
Yeah. Train yourself to let go.
Yeah.
Of everything you fear to lose. Could be an opportunity for some great Yoda stuff, but please don't do to Yoda what you're doing to the rest of the Jedi. Show Yoda be that kind, compassionate
and I think
Grandmaster.
that she understands that he needs to kind of be that beacon, and then Vernestra can go off and do her thing. Yeah. Yeah. She's the Yoda's the NPC.
Okay.
Yeah.
As much as I said I didn't like Yoda's inclusion here, there is something that's kind of cool about the fact that we just got a live action Star Wars episode with both Yoda and Darth Plagueis.
And I think Yoda was a puppet.
Yeah. I think they used probably the Last Jedi one, if I had to guess. He kind of looked the same.
Yeah.
Just think about that though. Darth Plagueis and Yoda in the same episode of television.
Yeah. Who would have thunk it?
What a world.
Yeah.
Too bad it was the way it was, but you know, I mean, hey.
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Don't weep because it's over.
Weep because it happened. Can't get over that. It's
maybe tears of joy.
That's so funny. BC_Scrubs. Did the finale elevate the rest of the series?
But it doesn't make me want to rewatch everything to get to the finale. Makes me just like, I'd watch the finale again.
For me, it's almost the opposite question. It's that the rest of the series made the finale worse.
Yeah.
It's like if 1/8 of your show is good, then that's way below a failing grade.
Yeah.
And that's not even the case. You know, there were a couple good episodes, but overall it's just, excuse me. Sir_Django_Fett. Why do I keep hearing Saw Gerrera the last 5 minutes of the finale? Lies, deception, every day more lies. I assume because, the show ended up not being what everybody thought it was going to be, including us.
It could be that Vernestra's lying about everything.
Yeah, that's
yes.
true.
So.
Marshall McElhaney, Basil, Sith Lord. Hey, to answer that question earlier, he was the second Sith.
Maybe he is the second Sith. I found an apprentice, one far younger and more powerful. Please no.
From YouTube, from John_Haig, question: since Chimere was looking for an acolyte and quoted the power of 2, do you think it's his intentions to try to overthrow Plagueis so he can use his power as he sees fit? That's a loaded question. I think that if he knows about Plagueis, because we've been speculating maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
If he does, then yes.
Oh, yeah. But that's what Sith do.
I lean more toward yes, because I think it makes more sense if Plagueis is his master, because somebody had to train him in the dark side. Somebody had to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because he's not raw, untamed power. Chimere knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was that book, I keep forgetting what it is. It's like the Book of the Sith or something that mentions how the rule of 2 is the mirror to the dyad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. And then another question from YouTube from presuming_Ed. If Chimere can mind wipe so easily, why doesn't he just do that with any acolyte he wants and start the training from there?
Amen.
Why didn't he just do that with Osha?
Yep.
Maybe he needs her darkness. I don't know. And then final question from Star Wars Time Show. Hey, are you ultimately satisfied or disappointed with the season as a whole? What a good question to wrap up our conversation about the Acolyte and the Acolyte season finale. Hit me.
I think it ends on a high note. However, as I said earlier, I don't know how often I'll be revisiting it. Especially revisiting things that aren't the finale.
I had planned on binging the whole show.
See if it works better.
Yeah, because I did that with Kenobi, and I think Kenobi works really well if you watch the whole thing in one sitting. I know it's a bit of a time commitment, but I think it works a lot better. I was planning on doing that before our live stream next week, and I'm like, I'm going to have to really force myself to do it if I end up doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of answers the question, which is pretty disappointed. Yeah. I think that it's partially expectation. I was expecting something far different. I did not get what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I think that the writing ended up being really sloppy. Because, if my expectations weren't met, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's one thing if it's my own personal expectations, but my expectations came from the showrunner.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah. You read the bag.
Right. Yeah. It's a good way to say it. I read the box art.
Yes.
And it didn't tell me, and none of those things were fulfilled.
Yeah.
So in that way, I was quite disappointed. Things I liked. I'd probably overall give it a 6 out of 10. It's probably, might be recency bias, but it's probably my least favorite Star Wars show.
Yeah.
Out of all of them. I like Book of Boba Fett more, but really that's just because it has legacy characters carrying it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that's really all. And those 2 episodes in the middle are really good.
Yeah.
But because that was previously my least
With
favorite.
Soul going out on a whimper, did it tarnish him for you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Because
I knew you were really high on him.
I was. Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that puts me out on Soul is him being weirdly obsessed with Osha from the get-go.
Yeah, it is odd.
I thought that he was one of the better written characters from the beginning, but then, like everybody else, he has very underdeveloped motivations.
Yeah. And weird baggage.
Yeah, it's just all just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's like Chimera ends up being one of the best characters because he's still a mystery.
Yep. And
maybe if we knew his motivations, he'd be terrible too.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me worried for Plagas, come to think of it.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's kind of where I come out.
Yeah.
Overall, though, it was kind of fun talking about the show.
Oh, yeah.
Over the last 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to what's coming next. We did get some questions about what is coming next for us.
Yeah.
So a little tease of the pipeline. Just something to chew on.
Yeah.
So next week, live stream, as we said at the top of the show.
Come hang out with us.
Yeah, a little bit of good, bad, and the ugly. So we're just going to kind of talk about the stuff that the show did really well, talk with you guys, your guys' opinions, just live chat format.
What time do you think that'll be?
What time do I think it'll be? 5 p.m. 5 p.m. EST is when our live streams go on Friday. Fridays, 5 p.m. EST. Okay. And we'll have our new kit. So hopefully we sound good this time.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So come hang out with us next Friday, 5 p.m. EST.
Yeah.
Bring your questions. Just bring your comments. Let's just chill and hang out. It'll be a good time. Past that. What's going on past that? Well, we always like hanging out in the Dune Sea, talking Star Wars, but every now and again, it is fun to go beyond
the Dune Sea.
There is a reason we chose that name for the show, after all. So,
and I think we need a little bit of a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're going to find what's out beyond the Dune Sea.
Yeah. So here's all we'll say. It's just Star Wars is always going to be our bread and butter here out beyond the Dune Sea. Don't you worry about that. But we may have a little fun out beyond the Dune Sea
from time to
time
for
a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And our first show after the Acolyte, there'll be a little bit of Star Wars to be had in that episode, but it'll be a little bit of Beyond as well. And we're very excited about that episode. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
already planning it.
Yeah. And we've got some tier lists planned. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
We got some other stuff down the pipe, and we got some kind of other content that's kind of coming out. And if you didn't notice, a couple days ago, we had set 2 of Star Wars Unlimited, Shadows of the Galaxy.
Yes.
that unboxing.
Fun little unboxing.
Yeah. Be sure to
Get
go
to watch
check that
me
out.
Nerd out, as the kids would say.
Yeah, you get to watch Seth nerd out, and to be honest, it's kind of like a in between episode of the show. We just kind of chatted the whole time.
Yeah,
just about dumb stuff the whole time through.
Yeah.
It's good. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in that, please go check that out. We had a lot of fun, and Seth really likes card games.
Yeah.
So just go tell Seth how awesome he is for liking card games over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go check out that stuff. Look forward to all the fun stuff coming out Beyond the Dune Sea. Don't worry, just because they're not new Star Wars doesn't mean there's not going to be new Beyond the Dune Sea content. And this fun community that we've created will always be live and thriving. We're going to have some fun. See you guys next week. Live stream, 5 p.m. EST. Not same Dune channel, not quite same Dune time, but it's definitely
Dune in time.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week.